Kapow Toys presents. I'm your host, King Grimlock, and we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Due to the return of the movie and the upcoming toy line, we are going to start cracking into Dark of the Moon toys as we speak. We're going to kick it off with the bad police car from the first movie. What happened to him? Depending on what continuity you've followed, you don't really know, but he may be back, he may not. He is in the upcoming comics. Is he going to be in the upcoming film? That's right, ladies and gentlemen, the badass Barricade is here with lovely mech tech ensemble, the gimmick from the third film. Let's take a look at him. You know what? I'm going to say this a lot when we review these toys. I'm not a big fan of the movieverse, but you know what? All of the four that I have in my hand here, ready to review, I kind of like in various different ways, which is a shock because I'm not a fan of the movieverse. I think I mentioned it. I'm not sure. I think I made it. Let's not release that. Well, let's show you that. The mech tech gimmick to start with. Let's remove it from there and we can have a close look at the toy. It's a nice little Gatling cannon at the end with let's bring it. It's got a claw. It's a nice mechanism, and you just have to flick it up, flick it out, and release the mechanism, and it stays in the claw mode as well. So you can have it in both modes. It's actually quite nice. That looks like almost like a seat. In there, maybe won't you be able to fit one of the Human Alliance, the little Human Alliance figures in there from the new line? Who knows? But it's just a nice, very nice bit of kit actually. I'm pleasantly surprised by how unobtrusive and unoffensive it actually is. I expected something a little less. What I'm also very surprised with was the quality of Barricade himself. A complete new mould, completely redone for the third movie. And the implementation of the mech tech gimmick, especially in his vehicle mode, is exquisitely well done. You'll see there on top there is actually a little grey button. It's a rubberised button that the tab there just slots straight into, so when you don't have it on there, it's not like there's a massive gaping hole. There are also other tabs all over the place, not in this vehicle mode admittedly, but on his robot mode where you can slot it in and you can hold multiple weapons. It's a lot simpler than like the Mecha Live gimmick or the whatever the I can't remember what the other one has been in the time, but it seems to be implemented a lot better, like they've had an overall vision for it. And they've just gone away from being, you know, your bog standard, ooh, it moves, it goes, gears, no, let's just go big, stupid guns. And let's focus on what this is. And the police car is superb. This alt mode is beautiful. The paint apps down the side are absolutely gorgeous, with "To punish and enslave" written there. You probably heard a crack as I just pushed that back in. The panels around the back end are very well engineered to fit together perfectly, but if you press on one, it will slip out. Some nice paint apps around the back. You can see the detailing on the back there. The bumper, his number, of course. Punish and enslave police car number on the top, and around the front again, the number there as well. It's all very nicely done with very minimal paint apps, but it works really well on this. I just love the way the police is picked out on the side. On the underside, very, very, very tidy. We obviously have signs of robot parts, but you know, for a deluxe it's exceptionally tidy, and you can almost believe that was like suspension, things like that. So I'm very impressed with how he looks in this mode. Good paint apps, great sculpting, and overall a really nice aesthetic that I'm quite blown away with how nice it actually is. Anyway, let's have a look at the robot mode. And Barricade's robot mode has only one real problem for me, which is actually surprising considering it's a movie toy. But overall, it's really, really, really well implemented and really well engineered and really well done. The transformation is simplistic enough, but involved enough that you actually feel like you are making an effort to actually do things with it. Basically, from the waist upwards, it's a glorious figure. The detailing, the articulation is lovely. The fact you've got an articulated hand joint. These panels can be arranged as you see fit, really. Nothing's really a clip-in point. So you can make him a little bit taller and spiky around the edges, and you can make it a bit more armoured down the side. Good ball-jointed articulation at the elbow and at the shoulder. Nothing on the wrist, unfortunately, other than sort of an in-out, which is part of the transformation. The problem starts when you come down to the leg area, and we'll take a closer look at this. Basically, this hip joint, or these hip joints, are angled slightly backwards, meaning that his sort of, basically he's got a fairly wide stance, and the articulation is completely hampered by it as well. You have to really work to get it into position, and this new type of joint that Hasbro appear to be using, where it's more of a slide out than rather than anything screwed in, they do pop off, and it is a bit frustrating to do. The articulation is completely let down on the legs because of it as well. There is no sideways turn other than up at the top of the thigh, even though the hip itself is ball jointed at both, or ball jointed and then pinned at the other end. The swivel is the only part in there. The rest of this is all solid, leading to any poses being very much based on making him kneel and making him look like he's taking a bit of a squat, to be honest with you. He is very tidy around the back. Yes, there is back end of a car hanging off the back of his legs, and he obviously has the panel there, but relatively kibble free, especially for a movie toy. He is really nicely done in that way. The head sculpt is also very, very nice. The paint apps on mine is a little bit lacking, I'm afraid, and a little bit messy, but overall a good tidy robot mode. And having spent time working around the leg area over the last couple of days, trying to craft them to look as good, but also be as functional as possible, you do find ways to make him stand. You do find ways to give him some height and some width to him. He does work very well. This is this is the best deluxe Barricade we've had. His mech tech weaponry has a few places to fit. The main ones being on the inside of the wheel here. If we transform that into its claw mode, you can plug it into the top, like so. Now, downside is that this armour panel you have to kind of clip back in, so you lose a little bit of his articulation there. But you do end up with this massive, great claw hand, which admittedly doesn't reach past his own arm. But you do... problem with chicken leg joints is they all like to fold up. But he does look good with it. He doesn't look, at any point, it sounds weird, he doesn't look stupid with it. Because the colour scheme ties in all together, it's almost believable that he has these massive weapons that he can use and implement in both modes. And for me it works really well. I prefer to give him the slightly taller finish. I don't know, it just makes him look a bit more spikier and insectile, which I always felt the Barricade had that insectile feeling to him. In all, he's a really, really nice toy. A big step forward in my eyes from the last movie line, which I felt in a lot of places was too detailed for its own good and too intricate, too difficult and complex with its transformations. The Leader Prime was a masterpiece in its own right, but it was just too complicated to be used as a toy. And I think this figure, and with the other ones we're going to investigate over the next few days, weeks and months, you get the feeling that they've been engineered more towards the playability rather than the collector's market. This guy is a win for me. He has his flaws, but as far as one of the first Dark of the Moon toys that I've had the chance to play with, he has actually piqued my interest in the entire line. Anyway, I've been your host, King Grimlock. This has been a quite sensational Dark of the Moon Barricade, and we will see you next time.